So today is January 20th and I'm just doing a walkthrough of the disaster of what the garden looks like at the moment. It's obviously in between our planting season, so we're getting ready to turn over these beds. I have these craziness of trash bags that are full of leaves that need to be shredded so we can use for mulching. Those are our trying to be compost bins. Our messed up beds that have been kind of laying at rest, and we are going to be turning these over today. I'll take you through the back. We have this side area. Some beans growing, some half dead. My collard tree. And this will be the tomato run, which is my tomato cage that is half done. I got another video for that. Brassicas. And then off on this side we have some random things, some volunteer tomatoes that cropped up from last year, and back here is garlic and onions. There's a little man. Hey, Bubba. And over here is the garage area where I'm trying to revamp these boxes, and we have some wine barrels. This row, these are actually water collection from our rainwater that need to find a home. And this tiny little patch of we did beans here and cucumbers last year, so I don't know what we're gonna put there this year. We'll figure that out. Just planted that up. Boy, those strawberries need some time to bounce back. That's basically it. It is February 23rd, just about a month since the last round of the garden tour, and just starting off on the side of the house. Done quite a bit of cleanup, getting rid of all of those in bins that we had in excess. Planted up some new things. Not much to see here other than my spinach going nuts. Swing around here. My completely dead triple planted strawberries, they were moved 3 times in, so was not expecting too much on the transplant there, but the ones that were purchased fresh and popped in, those are on their first round. Those are doing really happy. But these guys got to come out, and as I said, this is the 3rd time they've been planted. I didn't even think we were going to get another season out of them anyway, so it's all good. Those will get changed out probably sometime in the next couple of weeks. And then not too much going on because it is February, the end of February. It's still winter here. Next month we should have more things going in the ground. This bed still has, let's see, we got some beans, the wintering over peppers and eggplants, and of course my massive kale plants. Potted up some new blueberries in this barrel. And then favas and burlates. And then this is the leftover spinach and kale that I had started a new fresh round of kale, so that when the ones behind me go out, these will kind of pop up. And then still nothing going on there other than calendula going crazy. And this bed finally got turned over, and there's a pretty little girl sitting in a patch of sand. Lemon tree just about done at its end run. Have some carrots that survived. We had this weird period of it got really cold, and then it got really hot, and then it got really cold again. So some of my things that were popped in the ground just kind of fizzled out. So let's see. Going on back here. These are turnips and carrots that are just starting germination, so they need to stay covered. Brassicas. Don't remember what those were like a month ago, but kale. Nothing happening too much on this side. They were just some extra things that we had going on. Planted up some new cauliflower in between after I harvested the heads of the last few. Cabbage still going strong. Onion and garlic bed. And finally, it's hard to see from this angle, but the tomato cage is finished. Even though inside of my tomato cage at the moment is nothing but these are, what are these? Brussels sprouts and some leftover cabbage and kale. These will be coming out probably the end of April. To be popping in our tomatoes once the tomatoes are up and going. Still have beans on this one trellis. These were Christmas lima beans that seem to keep going. Now in February and well past Christmas, and I'm still getting tons and tons of lima beans off of that thing. So, yeah. So today is March 23rd. I'm a couple days behind on this garden tour, but here we go. So last month I planted up some potatoes in these potato boxes. They're just starting to pick up. This one was empty. I left it for the stray cat who seems to like to lay in it. This was a volunteer potato, and it just kind of, you know, I just had dirt sitting here, and suddenly some greens came up, and I realized that there was some potatoes. Oh, look, little mini. There's some purple potatoes in here. I actually harvested some already that I threw into the corned beef and cabbage I made last month. And then these are fresh new ones that I put in. Those are just starting to come up. Last year I did this style where I threw in all the dirt and intermittently placed my seed potatoes in, and I didn't get as big of a harvest as I did when I had done them in the reusable plastic bags. And with the reusable plastic bags, I started out with a very minimal amount of soil, and then as the plant started growing up, I just kind of mounded, which is what I've resorted to doing with this group. So this year I'm going to see if I get better results. As you can see, this one I've already mounted up as it begins to stock up. So I'm going to try this way and see if I get a larger harvest where I start off with fewer seed potatoes and then mound up as the box gets bigger. But the whole idea of these planter boxes is, if you can see, this front panel is designed to be unscrewed and popped off so I can harvest from the front rather than having to go digging up the entire thing, you know, and disturbing or damaging my potatoes that might be in it at the time. We have our waiting to be potted up out into the beds, some tomatoes, peppers, onions, bunch of random things. Cleaned up this area, moved out some stuff. There is onions in that box. This is going to be either a tomatillo or tomato soon. My spinach went mental, just went crazy. Moved over the lettuce from the other side so I can get a more clean run in here. I'm going to take a back step. So now this run is a little more cleaned up. And this guy's new, this double tear strawberry planter. I went to get some strawberries to put into my newer strawberry tower that I made a couple months ago, and ended up buying too many strawberries and needed somewhere to put them. So I knocked together this guy, and eventually I will have the tutorial up on how to make this 2-tier planter box. Swing around this way. There's the one of the towers potted up. And then we took this off the wall because we had a really big rain last night. So this is the potted up strawberry tower. and it will get slid back under, but because of the way the roof goes, it just gets hammered with rain, so we needed to move that out so that it would not get really hammered down on. Over here, the artichokes are here. Look at that craziness. It's only one plant. And then there's some more starting to peek up in this one. I think what I was suggesting is to cut out some of the big ones. We use them to cook and then leave some of the smaller ones to go ahead and bloom out later, because I've never seen, like physically seen, an artichoke flower. I would love to see what that's going to turn out to be. Okay, the borage went nuts over in the corner. So did these kale. We now have kale trees. That is the same eggplant from last April. So this is March. It is almost a year old. This crazy eggplant that's continuing to grow, and I think it's putting off flowers. So we're gonna have more eggplant soon. There's some beans inside of there. Blueberries in this wine barrel. This is, I want to say, the second round of kale. So when I take down those kale trees that I just swiped over to, these guys will be coming up right behind them. Then we have some, I believe, fava beans and burlati beans. This is my garden arbor that I will be doing a tutorial shortly of, because I need to put in a new garden arbor over here on this side. In between these two beds, I'm going to be putting in another arbor. So I will do a tutorial on that. It's still springish, so we're just starting to get stuff out and into the ground. So there's more to see than last month, but not everything is here yet. So these arbors will be filled up with plenty of different vining plants between beans and squash and melons. Let's see, over back here we have beets in, some sorrel, some cabbage. This area of the yard stays pretty shady, so kind of hoping that that will help out with keeping these little cooler weather crops going. Back in the back, there's the mint families of all different types. And of course, the crazy lemon tree that keeps producing tons and tons of lemons. It's flowering yet again. Another blueberry. And then we have some plants here that are just hanging out in the pots that need to go to their permanent home. But then I also have the carrots that I planted up last month, and some kale that actually came in the carrot packs, snuck in the back of them. They were tiny bitty things. I threw them in the back line there. Planted up some corn because I want to be harvesting it early for baby corn. And basically baby corn is, you just harvest it when the corn has grown about 2 to 4 inches in height on the stalk, and then you chop it open and it's tender. So I don't need these to get really giant. I just want them to start stalking off their tiny little ears there. Back up to this patio area, which probably could use some cleaning because everything's still in the works out here. And if I swing around, these crazy Christmas limas are still going on. They are still putting off pods. I've been harvesting from them regularly. I have like a jar now full of various different drying beans that I just kind of been throwing all together. The turkey craw that was here next to it have died out, but the Christmas limas are still kicking. I put these in the ground, I want to say probably September, October, these went in. Might have even been earlier than that. Alrighty. And we got some new players. Over here in this planter is our greens. So we have some salad greens coming in. Over there is a cage with a cat in it. My carrots are at the bottom, and then I'm going to do a side shot here. This got cleaned up, and in it we still have the Brussels that are in there, but they've all been trimmed up and getting ready to kind of help these do their last of the bloom so that we can get the tomatoes on this side in. A lot of my brassicas blew, even though they were brand new and went in fresh in cold weather. That we get any tiny little spike of heat and then suddenly they're all flowering. So on this side, this has been turned over, and now the first round of tomatoes are in on this side. And then I also, you can see it, installed the gutter on this side that was pounding down on this area, making it impossible to keep plants here. And I have a water butt coming that should be here next week that will go over in that corner to do water collection from this gutter, so that rather than it drowning out my existing plants that are here, it will collect water, and when we don't have rain I can go ahead and use it for the garden. The cabbages aren't doing too bad. These cabbages down this end are pretty cool. Waiting for them to form some kind of head, but not too bad. Elephant garlic mixed with regular garlic and the onions that died and did nothing. And then apparently last year my New Zealand spinach must have seeded itself because it cropped up again. So that's a volunteer. Got some lettuce. You can see the other side, a nice head of cabbage forming, and the brassica is cleaned up in the big cage. Let me see if I can try and get a shot of this back area. It's really tight back here. This used to be like where they hung clothes, a laundry area. There was a clothesline out here when we first moved in, and the poles are still there, but it's really tight back here, and there was some good dirt. So I have grew up with my garden back on the East Coast, and dirt's real estate, so on to make it much more productive back here than that. Let's see if I can get this way. A little bit better. So I am going to conclude this as our, I guess, winter season of footage. I've been filming little bits of the tour for the past 3 months, and I'm going to stream this all together. But basically, I have a housemate and we garden together, and the agreement was that I would do basically the major building type things that needed to get put in. She does a lot of the seed starting and the planting out, and then I help with a lot of the heavy lifting and give my opinion every now and then on where to plant things. I help with the maintenance and the general, like putting the beds together, you know, turning them over, getting the stuff planted out, that kind of thing. So yeah, that is our garden so far. And I will continue to do these updates. I think I'm just going to continue doing them every several months and streaming it together. I don't know, we'll see. If the garden starts picking up maybe midsummer season and there's a lot going on, then maybe I'll do them a little bit more often. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Like and share, and hope to see you soon.